I believe we are live. Welcome to the Quantum Show. We tonight have R. Keith Andrews in studio, sitting right in front of me, right there. I see him right there. How you doing, Keith? Or
Not bad at all.
how,
How's yourself there, Nathan?
pretty good. How do you want me to address you? Is it Keith? R. Keith?
Pretty much, Keith works well. Most people know me as
Keith?
Keith, especially on these shows. But the
Okay.
reality is, Keith is my middle name, right?
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, don't
Keith
panic on it.
works for me. Getting a little
As
bit of
long as
echo.
yeah.
Oh, that's me. Hold on, hold on.
Pretty much, Keith works well. Most people know me as Keith, especially on these shows. But the reality is, Keith is my middle name, right?
Okay. All right.
Oh, don't
Keith
panic on
works
it.
for me. Getting a little
As
bit of
long as
echo. Oh, that's me. Hold on, hold on. Okay, that's me. That was me. Noob mistake. Total noob mistake.
Yeah, no, I've been called a lot of things over the years, so I figure as long as people call me something polite, I usually respond.
Right. Okay. I had to grab my headphones. I made the big noob mistake of echoing on air. Okay, I'm better. Everything's better now. You and I have a similar relationship with technology, except if it doesn't work for me, I take it apart.
Yeah, no, I just cook it. Like I think I said at the beginning of my last show there, I had a problem with the computer, and it took somebody with very advanced technology skills 10 hours inside my computer to get it up and running.
hmm I
But
heard that
it's up
part.
and
I was
running.
there for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it didn't have a camera. What? I see you. I saw you earlier than that too.
oh yeah, absolutely. That was the stupid part. My computer said I don't have a camera, and yet I could go live without a problem.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I
luckily my
just don't.
camera knows it's there, and I didn't realize my headphones weren't on, so fix that problem. Oops.
Yeah.
Okay. Um okay, Keith, I have been watching you for several years now on several different platforms, well, several different shows, mainly Spaced Out Radio. Shout out Dave Scott. He'll like that. I hope he might like that.
Oh, he does. I know for
Okay.
a
Hey,
fact he
Dave.
does because I keep using it. I keep doing the same thing.
Hey, Dave, like and subscribe. Go Quantum. Um, oh, that is something I wanted to. Let's start off with that. Okay. You call uh, 0 point energy, and you have said in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, that as humans, we have the ability to natively and naturally affect 0 point energy. And that is a rare thing to be able to do. Am I
This
getting
is
that right?
correct.
Okay.
That is correct. We are the only race I'm aware of that can do it.
Okay. Um, well, here I have come to realize that same thing, but I call it a quantum link, hence the quantum show. And um, I wanted to get you to talk more about that because that right there of being able to affect reality, first, it's been scientifically proven and observed by several people. And well, okay, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Okay, ultimately, quantum, what you call quantum and what you call quantum energy, what I call 0 point. Okay, I've shown this trick before on my own shows, where you take your hands, right? Now, understand the first thing about 0 point energy. Unlike electricity runs one direction. If you desire it to go the other direction, you have to do a little bit of tweaking, swap the connections around, and away you go. Right? 0 point energy runs both directions at once. Okay. Oddly enough, it also stands still at the same time, by the way. What it is, if you take your hands and you put them all of about a half an inch apart, you'll notice you can still see through them. Right? You put your hands like that and you'll feel some sort of energy. Now, I've heard it described, I think, about 7 different ways as to what it felt like. Right? Whether it's heat, a magnetic pull, a pulse. I had one person describe it as bubbles. Right? You focus on that energy moving between the two, coming out of both hands. And it's kind of like putting your hand over top. You know when you have a jet tub and the water comes up? Right, in a jet bathtub? Well, it feels often like when you put your hand just at the surface of the water that's coming up. It's that kind of a feel. Now, that particular energy, as you focus on it, you can get it to go stronger and separate your hands. Right. Now, once you've got it separated enough, you can use it to modify your own body, like as in the health of your own body. I remember one day I was on a plane, and the gentleman beside me, he goes, "Do you know anything about energy?" I looked at him and I said, "I don't have a lot of options. I live with it." So he goes, "What do you mean?" So I flipped down the meal tray and I put my hand underneath it. It's okay, put your hand on top. Right. And I focused for a minute and he all of a sudden looks at me and he pulls his hand back and he goes, "I can feel that." I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "But why are you so agitated?" He says, "Because I'm the guy that designed these so that no energy can pass through them." He says, "If anybody had told me this was possible, I'd have told them they were full of it because I built them." He says, "But unfortunately," he says, "what you've shown me here, there's no denying." I says, "Okay, so what do you do now?" He says, "Now I go back to the drawing board and try and figure out what you just did."
Right. He's talking about he designed the meal tray that was flipped down.
Yeah, the one at the back of an airline seat that they flip down so you can eat. He designed those so no energy can pass through them.
Right. I love it how people say energy is a nuts and bolts thing when it really is not. It's physical, but it transcends, and that escapes people. And I call that quantum, well, using your quantum energy, and 0 point makes sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's that energy. I've used it for the exact same reason. Like, I cannot call myself a Reiki master. Reiki masters, if they know what they're doing, that's what they actually do. They're working with that energy. But I've never been trained. So I can't call myself a Reiki master at all.
Right. I know we have a Reiki practitioner in the chat, I believe, or maybe she's not here yet. I don't think she's here yet. And I have no doubt about Reiki is real. And the training, I'm not sure if I dive with the training as far as being called a Reiki master and what it takes, because there's a lot of money changing hands and a lot of certifications from other people that really don't have
Go
ahead.
Something you got to understand about money. Money is simply another form of exchange. And I don't know about you, but moving a $10 bill around is a heck of a sight easier than dragging a cow.
I agree. And the energy, okay, I'm not going to get into the energy behind money because that is a big, big topic, as I know you know. Because talk about you have a part of your topics that you do on a regular is kind of a self-help genre.
Yes.
And
that'd be this one.
Right. The Journey.
That one.
Yep. And I didn't mean the physical book, but cool. I was talking about your podcast, your YouTube shows, The Journey, right?
Oh, The Journey itself, yes.
Yeah. And okay, but I was also okay. I have a list, right? I took your advice on this because I was like, well, I have a computer. I'm not Amish. I chided people for not using their computer and using a pen and paper. And here I am doing it because it works. It just works.
Well, I appreciate the confirmation.
Yeah.
You know?
And okay, now I know I got another friend, Rich Giordano. He does it, if not in words, in deed. He actually writes stuff down. He was the one I was messing with. I was like, hey, Amish boy, you have a computer in front of you. No, it doesn't. This works. This wins.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why I've got the pad right beside me here.
yeah, same. And I was taking notes during your last show. And okay, I saw you say your Races of the Worlds book is delayed. And that's a shame. And I hate that. I want it. I want it. I got the other races and I look at it a lot. And
Yeah.
many people have borrowed that. And I'm like, go buy one. I don't know why they don't. But they
Well,
like it.
part
And,
of it may be the issue of getting here. Most people won't actually. I was talking to the guy setting up my Amazon store.
Mhm.
Most people won't go that extra step.
Mm.
They're point and click.
Right. I understand it. I'd like to think I graduated from that line of thinking into wherever it is I am now. I go
Yeah.
all the extra miles. We go all the extra miles. Almost everyone in the chat room goes those extra miles because we want to know and we drill down. But okay, uh on the topic of Races of the Worlds, I don't have it handy. I moved and everything got packed up and moved around, so it's here
Oop.
somewhere. It's here somewhere. Um,
Well, if it's
I
any
had
consolation, I've got it right here.
okay, okay. I had an encounter, and it wasn't really an encounter; it was a sighting. I did a little while ago non-human report show. I had gone to Indianapolis to a convention, and I know that's like so standard that things are seen in conventions and everybody blows them off. But I have a feeling that's a really good place to go to see a non-human.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember I went to the Experiencer Speak conference back in 2013,
Hmm.
and we had a Pleiadian hybrid show up on site. You know, it was a phenomenal experience.
I can only imagine. Here was my encounter, and it wasn't an encounter; it was a sighting. I was walking around the convention, and this place is not really big, right? It's think State Fair one building, and it's
Right.
not really that big. Now there were three of them. I saw two, and then I saw one, or no, I saw the one, and then I saw two of them. And what ticked me off, or not ticked me off, but tipped me off about these people were the way they both. Okay, the first one was a single person, and their body was not moving correctly. They weren't with anybody. They weren't looking. They were kind of on target looking. Their
Right.
demeanor, and they weren't dressed up as characters like at a convention. Some people do. She. They all presented as female, and I'm just going to go with that for now. They all presented as female,
It works.
and she was walking, and her body wasn't moving quite right, as
Yeah.
if okay. And I noticed that her arms swayed a little too much, like she was forcing it, but it didn't look forced. And I don't know what made me look at this person. Her face wasn't quite right either. It was a little bit more pointy here and a little bit larger at the top.
More like
that
a
was
triangular, an inverted triangle, as it were.
a little bit, but still rounded on top.
Yeah.
And okay, that's the one person. And then I saw a pair of people, and it was the same. Okay, one of them was the same as the first one that I had seen. Not very tall, not extremely tall, right? Just about my height, maybe a little bit shorter, actually. And
Well, that happens.
right. And the other person, the two that I saw, there was one of those type people. And then next to her was, again, appeared as female and appeared low waisted, seemed to walk correctly, but this person was shaped differently. Like I said, a little bit more low waisted. And the head was like shaped about like flat on the sides and round on the top and bottom.
Okay.
And I have had another person who comes here talk about an encounter they had, and it was a Dr. Godsend. Not the doctor. The doctor was definitely something weird, but the nurse matched the description of the thickly, oh, and this person was thickly built. She initially told me she looked chubby with short arms. This person I saw was thickly built like a tree trunk with slightly short arms, not like this, but just slightly shorter than you would think for the size of the body.
Right.
Does that ring a bell, that body description, to any of the
Well,
races that you know?
the one that has the inverted triangle head, so to speak. Okay, those two. In all likelihood, and I'm really surprised they showed up, but rather happy about it. That's what I was just looking up in my book here. Those are Zeron.
Zeron. They're in the first book?
They are in Races of the Worlds.
Okay. Man, I see the quantum entanglement said you're not going to find this book tonight. So you can refer to it. And I'm like,
Well,
okay.
Yeah, the reality of it is the reason I write the information down is that book has 69 different races I've personally dealt with. And in volume 2, I've already got over 40 extra.
Right.
The squared off woman you're talking about, kind of a rectangular head. There are a couple of possibilities, but I'm more inclined with the description you've given, and let's face it, not a whole lot there.
Yeah.
I'm more inclined, no offense taken, but no offense intended.
Well,
but you're likely looking at Dwarvish, which is an ancient race, not a now. Could have been either Dwarvish or you might be dealing with an elemental.
An elemental? Okay.
An elemental being somebody that is literally comprised. In this case, it would have been an earth elemental, which is a race that is literally comprised of living stone.
Okay.
Now, the neat part is you can actually, because of the way they can actually modify their appearance. So if you make it into fine granules, if you will, it'll look like flesh, but you don't want to hit them.
Right. Well, I have no intention of hitting anyone.
No, I realize that. Now, picture stubbing your foot on a rock.
Right.
That's how much fun it is.
Understood. Okay, and now let me get back to that's interesting. And what did you said Dwarvish, or what was the first one?
The first one was the one with the inverted triangular head.
Yes.
Is a Zeron.
Zeron.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to have to cross-reference, and because these are, I don't know, isolated incidents, but one was like 6 years ago. The nurse that was seen was several years ago, and this happened last month, where I saw these people at the convention. And why do you say that you're happy to see that they were there?
Zerons are not known to be like Zerons are a new return to this world. They've been gone for centuries.
Okay. Someone, when I talked to them, actually Joseph in the chat said maybe their knees were angled backwards.
Maybe they're which?
Maybe their knees were angled backwards, the Zeron. And I don't know if it's going to be, let's say, we're guessing Zeron. Yeah, I don't have much of a description. I wish I did. I just mentally, I got the do not disturb sign put up to me. So I was like, yep, I hear it. I feel it. Not going to disturb.
Well, here's the thing with the Zeron, and this will account for their odd gait. They have two physical brains.
Okay.
Okay. And if they're trying to emulate, if they're trying to blend in, what they're trying to do with humans, you've got two sides of the brain, and they're totally linked. With the Zeron, they actually have two completely separate ones.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, the right side is trying to operate the left side of the body. The left side is trying to operate the right side of the body, like humans do. But now they're having to try and coordinate it while they're doing it.
Ah, I can see that. I can totally see that. Okay.
See, Zerons, when they're actually on their own, levitate. They don't actually use their limbs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's kind of obvious if you're in a crowd of humans, you start levitating around the room, there's going to be questions.
Right. There were a bunch of people. Now, this is a Comic-Con type thing. This was Fanboy Expo. And there were a lot of people in some very crazy looking costumes, very out there. Several alien dressed.
Well, that would explain the Zeron's arrival.
Right. Several.
That right there in the Zerons.
Okay. Because they just look like they were walking through, having fun, looking at everything in the con. They didn't look like they were like on target to do anything specifically. They were just enjoying themselves, I guess. But something else odd that happened in retrospect was I didn't see them again the whole time, and I was looking. So that said, at the time I was like, this is interesting. But then when I never saw them again, I never saw them at the food or any of the booths or getting signatures or anything like that. That also said, and I was, most of these guys are telepathic, are they not?
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't know. Tell me what you think about this. I'm assuming, because I have no feedback from anywhere else, right? Anywhere at all.
Right.
When I saw them, I got excited. I personally got excited, and I was like, oh, there they are. Could they have heard that?
Absolutely. Okay. Zerons are full telepaths.
Okay. I was kind of worried about that. So maybe they tagged me to avoid, and they said, uh-oh, we've been found by somebody who knows something, and maybe tagged me and they took off. I don't know.
Well, it certainly wouldn't be out of fear. It may have been, I'm not debating, they may well have tagged you, as you put it. But that may have been, oh, we have some that are alive here now. Because the last time they were here, people were still throwing stones and were still using sticks and stones literally as their only weapons.
Okay. Okay, I know you are an abductee and you have you go quite often. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I heard you say the other day that you were last up there a week ago? Or
I'm pretty certain at this point that that's exactly what caused half of my problem. Like half my recent one that I've been suffering from like the last couple of days.
Do you mean your tech problem?
No, I'm actually referring to my physical one.
Oh, I didn't hear much about a physical problem. What's
No,
going on?
about 3 days ago, I developed a cramp that wouldn't let go in my left leg, which, by the way, is supposedly my good leg. But then I was outside bringing groceries in, and for 17 hours, my blood pressure was absolutely normal, but my pulse was sitting between 103 and 107.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the kicker to it. I did some research to find out what was going on. Every symptom I had, every symptom I had is identical to what you suffer when you suffer the bends. This is in the middle of a parking lot. And rest
Right.
assured, I don't live underwater.
Right. Especially so far underwater that you
Yeah.
would have the nitrogen boil out of you. Okay. I do recall you talking about that. I thought you meant something else. I'm sorry. Um, these Xeron, have you ever seen them when you're out and about? I call it out and about when you're either psychically or spiritually or
The
physically.
answer there is yes.
Yes.
Wonderful group of people, fabulous sense of humor.
Okay, well, maybe they will like my sense of humor and all the cornball jokes I say here on the Quantum Show. They might get it, they might not. I don't know. Okay, nailed it. Okay, she is not here right now. I would ask her to tell me about the doctor because it sounds like. Tell me if this sounds familiar, right? I had a coworker, and she was. I did a show on this. Well, a little show. It wasn't a show. It was before I started this thing. She relayed this story to me. She refused to be recorded, and I was like, okay. She said in the 80s, in Michigan, she was working at an abortion clinic. Now, that's a hostile environment in the 1980s. I know you remember.
That was hostile.
Yeah,
I was alive in the 80s.
So, oh yeah, me too. And that topic at an abortion clinic, you didn't want to be around because it's a hostile environment, or was. And she said that there was this doctor there. There were a handful of doctors that came in, and it was nobody had offices assigned to them, so they had little cubbies that they would work out of and take notes and
That would
fill
be
out the
normal.
papers, right? And all the doctors were more or less, normal people, except one. They called him the butcher. And this was the description. I asked her for a description. She said he was always wearing full gown, gloves, face mask, and some kind of splash guard over his face. And the only skin you could see was this part right here.
Right.
Was the back of the neck because of all the protective equipment. And okay, to wrap it up, he never spoke. He never said anything, and he never hung around after the procedures. And she got fired because she witnessed this. Did a procedure, was called him the butcher because he was very rough on the girls that came in, and he was rough on this one. And the normal procedure is, after the procedure is done, normal operating is to take the remains to disposal or to lab. And
right.
This doctor, now that's us. This doctor took the part and left with it. That is very against all procedures I could think of, all the way back to all of medical history until the Dark Ages. I can't think of that being okay to do ever in the United States.
No, I mean, even if you go back into the early years, that particular item you're referring to it was disposed of. There did no lab. It was just, okay, it's done.
Right. And you didn't take it home. You didn't take it out of wherever you were doing the procedure at. And she got a phone call the next day, you're fired. This is what I told her. From her descriptions, right? I told her, I think you and the girl thought you were attending an abortion, but I think you were actually attending a harvest. Because that's what it sounded like to me.
Right.
Does that story ring a bell?
Oh,
about
that.
anything?
This is going to sound really sick and twisted, but that's normal.
It's quantum.
Oh, okay. No, for collectors, that is normal.
Oh. Collectors. Okay.
The collectors come from many races.
Right.
Okay, main species are collectors, and they come in and do the collecting for scientists more often than not. Now, if you're talking about if it's an abortion, obviously you're getting rid of the child. Well, humans have been used for millennia as incubators for the hybridization program. But so if you're talking about the infant that is being removed, it would be normal to remove the infant, take it up to a nursery. But if you're talking about the after effects, the rest of the stuff, there is a not so black market up there for it.
Right. Okay. So you say it's a not so black market because, well, I don't know if you know all the little details of that society, so no need to go there.
Well, let me put it this way. It's about as black market as going to your local major grocery store.
I got you. That brings me to another point I wanted to talk with you about. A lot of people, I'm sure you've heard of the fear narrative as far as UFOs are concerned. Have you?
The beer narrative?
Fear. Be scared of them.
Oh, fear. Yes, absolutely.
Right. Well, I don't agree with it, but it seems to me like based on every story I've heard, every encounter, and I've been listening to these for a long time, is that we are being treated. Stop me and correct me if I'm not jiving, right?
Right.
That we as a species on Earth are being treated like wild animals in a preserve. Some of us are being taken. Some of us are being taken and returned. Some of us are gathered samples from. Some of us are they're trying to associate with some of us. And that sounds like every big animal we know of in the wild, in the preserves. Lions, gorillas.
Essentially, you are correct.
Okay.
The one thing you have to realize that goes usually hand in hand with that is we were not put here as an experiment. Okay. Like it wasn't, I mean, technically, if you look at it, technically it was an alien race that built us. Okay. But mankind originated here.
Right.
Okay. But
I do believe that
you're
too.
correct.
Okay. And they're treating us, it seems just like they're treating us like they want to know about us, study us, and
Absolutely.
And do experiments of all kinds with us. Not necessarily, mean, nasty things, but they don't want us to eat them either, like lions.
This is correct. This is correct. Basically, what it really boils down to is here we have an ecosystem, a global ecosystem.
Yes.
Where the dominant technologically advanced race or species, if you will, is on the verge of shifting from either blowing itself back to the Stone Age or evolving to interstellar. and we're
Right.
playing on both sides of it. But
Right.
from the off-worlder standpoint, we are talking about a xeno-socioeconomic evolution. That's what's got their attention.
Okay. All right. Now, I've heard you talk about they could eliminate us if they wanted to, but there's a set of rules that they're going by. The Federation sets them, and we are
Yes.
not being removed because we are. The Federation is stopping them.
They stop the off-worlders from it because this planet, number one, the issue is the planet is already occupied. The people, the dominant technologically advanced race on the planet, are the caretakers for the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, therefore, no, you cannot wipe them out. No, you cannot attack them. Right, they are a protected planet. If you picture us in a galactic frame of mind as the Library of Alexandria, the triple helix that contains all the information that is here. Okay, and you talk about quantum. Well, I'm talking about on a subquantum level. Okay, it is so much information. It would be a massive loss to this sector.
Okay. All right. Another thing a topic that I thought of a while ago is our use of money, right? And
Right.
I didn't go there earlier because we were still kind of doing the introduction, but our use of money, what grants us the idea that we are a civilization worth having around? Is it the fact that I had an idea? It was, okay, our use of money says that we can self-govern and that we can not be savages and animals because we have a trade system amongst ourselves. And I'm sure that we do trade out there, but
Yeah,
I just don't know about it. But
that's
what
okay.
makes
It's a
us
lot easier to understand than here.
right? We'll get back to that. We'll circle back around. I'm going to put a pin in that right now. Here's the pin. But what makes us in any of these, the Federation species eyes, what makes us worthy as a civilization? Not as a threat, but as a civilization.
Because right now you have, and I ran into a hiccup with this until I talked to them for a while, but we have multiple races, all offshoots of the same species, all with the same drives, all with the same intellectual capacity. Okay, trying to find a balance point to find a world government. Now, we got to be clear. A world government does not mean one guy sitting at the top going, this is how the world works. I'm talking about a group of people, much like the UN, okay, sitting down and going, okay, here's the problems we're dealing with. But mankind has the capacity to unify and work as a cooperative entity in order to get off the planet. Now, they've already got off the planet. We've already left Earth. Okay. But the reason it's so important right now is because with the volatility of mankind has reached this point multiple points and multiple times in the past. And all save one of them, they've destroyed themselves by doing the same stupid maneuver. But as with a child learning to ride a bike, you fall off the bike, you get back up on the bike, and you carry on. This is why it is so important, is because we're going down the same path all over again.
Right.
Are we going to figure out how to pedal properly?
I hear you. Okay, so we're at a point. Yeah, I hear you. I see what you mean. But right now, okay, you did answer that. that we are at a tipping point and that we have come to. I'm just rewording, thinking about it in my own way to understand
Yeah, that's
it.
not a problem.
Okay. And, well, you said it. Hopefully we can. Hopefully we can learn to pedal this bike and not drive ourselves into a creek. Hopefully.
That'd be a nice change.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I'll be around to see whether we ride or splash, but hopefully I will. I mean, it might be soon because we're having
Well, you
all
can't be
kinds
that
of.
old.
I'm not. Well, okay. Full disclosure, I'm 47, and
Okay.
I don't know if it'll happen in the next 40 years or so. And that's another thing. It just occurred to me. Okay, I have talked to you in the past, and I'm getting it from all sides. You're one side that something is on its way, something is coming, and that there is a fleet in the orbit of our sun. Now, when I say in orbit, I don't mean like right here. I mean close orbit. And they are here to
We're
make
talking
sure.
inside the photosphere.
Right, right. Very close to the sun. That they're there.
Yeah, it was funny. I remember
to-
when I first spotted that. Boy,
Yeah,
did I ever get a strange reaction.
Yeah. Nobody believes those are actual items or things in the sun's coronosphere. People are saying, oh, camera glitches. And then I showed you where they deleted a cube because they didn't want to show the ships up there. Our Soho images
Trust me
are
on this
showing.
one. The government know there's something there.
Yeah. And that's another side. They know something's there, and they also know something is coming. And maybe that's what Space Force is all about. They know something is coming, and they want to try to be prepared. But go ahead. Oh, you got something. Go ahead.
I'm just thinking what humans are calling Space Force. This is kind of like the caveman with the rocks and sticks going up against an M1A1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
It's
don't
not
think.
going to have a whole lot of impact.
Right. We are not equipped to do that kind of defense. Space
No.
Force, I don't know. The United States Space Force just seems like another reason to generate money for something that they don't want to talk about and get fast cars and new boats and stuff like that. I don't know. It just seems like it seems very scammy to me, the whole Space Force idea, because they're not going to
Well, they
engage
had to
us.
start somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, the reality is out there is still a potentially violent place. Mankind has an ability that makes mankind a threat to them, not vice versa. Although, if they wanted, I talked to one of their primary battle commanders, and they laid out exactly how an invasion would be taking place if the consortium had not forbidden it. And if the invasion were to start, the invasion would be over before mankind knew anything about it.
Right. That's something I wanted to talk to you about. They would know it would be over before we knew anything about it. Would
Yes.
they attack us on a quantum level? And I don't think they're going to attack us. I don't. I'm not fear mongering. Chat room, don't go telling other shows Quantum Show is starting a space war. I'm not. Do you got somebody over there? You need to.
Oh, you're hearing? Give me
Yes.
half a second. I've got a 17-year-old here that's got excited about PS5.
Oh,
Give me
okay.
5 seconds. I'll kill the noise.
You got it. Okay, hello everyone in the chat room. We are talking with R. Keith Andrews, and he's away from keyboard for a minute, and he had to take care of something. Sounds gaming related. Okay. Hello.
Sorry about that, guys.
Okay, we are back. No problem. No problem.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
very
my
good.
17-year-old is watching hockey.
Oh, he's watching hockey. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, everybody, our Keith is located in Canada, and hockey is a big deal. So is Tim Hortons, I think. I don't
Oh,
know.
Tim Hortons is a big deal here. Hockey to me, not even remotely functional.
Yeah. But
Funny thing
I
is, Tim Hortons was actually started by a hockey player.
oh well, that
That was
makes
actually the
sense.
guy's name.
Right. I understand. Yeah. I did know that. I did know that. My dad used to live in Alaska, and he would go to the border, and there's a Tim Hortons near him, or was a Tim Norton when he lived up there. And
Yeah.
he would get coffee and donuts, and they had like a trading post set up, like get your supplies here. And
Yeah.
I think it was a Tim Hortons. I don't remember. It's been so long. But yeah, our Keith is based in Canada. He has Bigfoot and aliens. Okay, you don't have them. They're
I
they're
don't
kind of
own
like
them, but I've run into all of them.
right. And well, I just yeah, all that stuff, nothing, it just never stops. Do you
No.
okay? Do you have any haunted areas around you? What's your stance on
My house?
haunted? Yeah? What do you got going on over there?
Oh, I every time I run into a spirit, I'll just simply tell them, look, if you need a place to hang out, come to my place. I don't have a problem with it. One house I used to live in, we had a satanic cult in the back room. We had a deceased orphanage in the attic, and a witch's coven in the basement. It was neat.
And these were all spirits.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Somebody said sorry about something. I don't know. Rugby. Oh, rugby. Oh, sorry about the sports thing. Okay. Monty. Sorry. Uh,
Oh,
I'm trying to not, I can't look at the chat and pay attention. I'm not very good at that.
I
And
know, and that's why I keep looking sideways as I'm looking through the chat room here.
right, I keep looking
Yeah.
sideways to look through the chat room as well. I'm looking over here, but you're right there in front of me.
Yeah.
um okay, the spiritual aspect of humans making contact out there. Let me tell you something that happened to me. I asked you a few days ago about spirit guides, and you were talking to me about it, and I appreciate it. Well, one day I was able to get, I have two that I know of, two spirit guides that I know of. I was able
Right.
to get them both with me at the time, and they had been talking to me about all this ways of communicating and all of the, Dave calls it the woo, right? Seeing things,
Yeah.
hearing things, etc. And I asked them just kind of wonderingly, what if I was to call the aliens? Keith, they literally both yelled at me, no. And I was like, okay. One said, and then they went, no, it's not your path. And the other said, it's not for you. And I'm like, okay, not for me. What do you gather from that? Because that really happened to me. They're there. Go ahead.
Well, my presumption is that there was a specific line you were thinking of, not so much broadband aliens, but you likely had in the back of your head some semblance or some idea of the type or genre or category of alien you were looking for, that you were thinking of reaching out to.
Mhm.
And depending on the category you were reaching out to, they would absolutely tell you don't go there.
I had thought of that part because my little fear monkey brain kicked in and says, no, you're good. The reason they're, they can be very vocal or they can be very nebulous as they want to be. And
Ambulance, absolutely.
yeah, and my little monkey brain says, no, don't talk to them because you're going to get yourself in trouble. That's what my monkey brain told me. No, that's how it interpreted that.
Yeah. No, the odds are. Now, of course, the other question is, depending on what you were what type of race you were thinking of, they may not have been aliens either. I had somebody one day tell me that they didn't care who it was. If they ever found a Tarian-trope, they would follow them into their lair and force them to talk to them. A Tarian-trope is a broadband for like the race of lycanthropes, which are werewolves.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, if you follow these people into their lair against their invitation or with it, this is not going to end well.
No, that does not seem to be a good idea to do.
It's the same thing as people go, oh, I want to be abducted and I don't care by whom. I'm thinking Teclex and vegans are not good options. Teclex are little reptilians that find humans very tasty.
I've heard you mention that.
And vegans are an insectivorid race that have absolutely no pain center. You cut their arm off, they only know it's gone because they can't pick anything up with that arm anymore.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to suggest right now another race to not be abducted by are humans.
I would personally recommend that. Been there, done that.
Yeah, they're mean.
I spent years in my lab.
I have been listening to a lot of stories from different people talk about my lab. And even if they don't call it my lab, they describe the same things.
My lab, MK Ultra, they're different names for the same thing.
Right.
Not and some people, nice people.
Right. Some people didn't know what to call them. They just know they had some kind of experience and they were made to do things that they didn't want to do. And they can't understand why they're not physically hurt from it. And then I listened to the rest of the story. And they say they got scars, stabbed, shot, burnt, but yet they're not showing any signs.
They don't have the physical scars.
Right. There's nothing there. I know a lot. I can talk about people off the top of my head that have come out talking about that. And they're just normal people. They're not movie stars or any of that stuff. They're nobody public. They're private people. And it's so commonplace now. So many people are saying, oh, yeah, I remember something like that. I personally have a memory, and I cannot place it for the life of me. Since I was about 20 years old, I had this memory of being slammed against a wall and feeling my ribs break and being in intense pain. And that's all. That's all I got. I had never been in a car wreck. Not like that. Never been slammed up against a wall to where it breaks things. And I still don't know where that comes from. Right. I don't think I was part of my lab, but I don't know. Who knows? There's no way for me to know.
And there's not enough memory there to really build much on.
Yeah. And there may be other memories that come up, but that's the only one I have that. And it was, I remember, I know I feel traumatized by it. Like it shocked me really hard. But that's all I got.
Well, so an impact to break your ribs will shock you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And there's some kind of emotional thing there too. Wow. I have 15 people in the chat.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for you?
Oh, that's a good thing. I usually have 5. But okay. Yeah, I'm trying to see. I didn't want to come and interview you like everybody else interviews you. Everybody else does that. We're Quantum. We go all over the place.
Yeah.
And
well, this is why with Dave's show, Dave interviews everybody. As far as I understand, I'm pretty much the only one that we are completely audience driven.
Okay.
Like Dave and I will talk before the show, what should we talk about? And we'll go, well, here's an idea. And the topics in the chat room just go that way.
Right. I dare say you are quantum, and Dave Show not so much, but you definitely are a quantum element, and you seem to be more in touch with it. 0 point energy user.
To me, this is just normal. It's funny, but when I suffered from just a couple of days ago, I just broke it today. I just about had a coronary when I pieced it there. When I looked, and like I'm sitting there talking to my other half because we're trying to figure out what the heck happened. Because my blood pressure was dead normal, and my pulse was through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm feeling these other little odds and ends, and all of a sudden, I'm sitting there. I went, and I did not say a polite thing to her. What came out of my mouth was less than polite. It wasn't at her. I said, and I'll put it politely, for crying in a water bucket, I'm suffering from the bends. Right. And you can't get the bends. I didn't think you could get the bends on concrete.
Yeah. I think you may have been taken and put back. Quantum.
I would be inclined to say yes.
Maybe time travel or, okay,
no.
not time travel. I don't mean time travel. I mean taken out of your stream momentarily or for a little while and put back at the same time. No wibbly wobbly involved. That's just,
yeah. See, you cannot put somebody. You can move forward in time. That's easy, but it is impossible to move backwards in time.
Can you stand still? Can you not move through time? That's a question.
Can you let time pass? Yes.
No. Can you halt time?
You can't stop time itself. You can stop time for you.
Right.
But you cannot stop time for everybody else.
Okay, you can stop time for you. That's an interesting little thing right there, isn't it?
It's also the first time I've ever been asked that aspect of it.
Yeah, see, I don't have my little sign ready, but I'm the one who asked you a long time ago. Yeah, I asked you a long time ago, and it was about time travel. Could you slow down time around you?
No.
To where, yeah, right.
You can slow down your time, but not anybody else's.
Right. And you answered it. It was on Dave's show. I was in the chat room that day. And you mentioned that you had never been asked that before either. Yeah, I think
I've got a good memory. It's just really short.
I got you. Same. Oh man, my coffee. I need to replenish.
That's why I got a bigger cup.
I need a bigger cup. I need a bigger cup. Okay. Well, we're running out of the first hour. Keith, if you would like to stay around, other guys are going to show up. I've got people that we just pile in and we talk about stuff. I didn't tell anyone any kind of ground rules because me and you, we seem to operate a lot on the same frequency of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
We don't interrupt and we wait our times. I've learned that from being in chat rooms and just being stomped all over. And I don't like to do that, but we didn't do any kind of ground rules for when I have someone come on special. But anyway, it is the end of if you would like to hang around after the first hour, I'm going to take about a 10-15 minute break. Unless you have something to do, unless you got to go.
No, like I said, you caught me in you put the time here at the time when I'm just simply going to be essentially relaxing. I mean, I'll during that 10-15 minutes, I'll bring my writing back up and get to work back on book 12.
Right. Okay.
But I'm not going anywhere.
Okay. All right. Well, we can talk about that too. We can plug your channel, put your links out there and everything. I already put a link to a recent show of yours in the description. And yeah, that is the end of the first hour. Wait a minute. Okay. Everybody in the chat room, thanks for hanging around. Thanks for coming in for me and Keith here. And I am going to take a short break. I don't have hold music or bumper music or anything like that. Unless you want me to hear me sing, I don't want to do that. Unless
Well,
you
the
want to
other
sing.
the other
Keith.
option I have for you, it said you're taking 10, 15 minutes.
Yep.
The other option is I can look through your chat here because you show up that is showing up on YouTube, and I can always look at that and talk to the people here, which will kill you 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, okay, sure. Because I was going to bring the other guys in after that 10, 15 minutes. And
Absolutely.
Okay, well, if you're up to stay, awesome.
The longest show I ever did was a 4-hour run.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty long show. But I don't want to demand you stay here or anything because, well, that's not very nice or quantum.
Not very functional either, because if I decide to go and somebody were to do that, I just hang up on them.
Right. I would fully expect you to hang up on me. Yeah, I would fully expect you to. If I did that, I was like, oh, I got cut off by Keith Andrews. But anyway, okay. I am going to take a break. So I'm going off of YouTube, but I'm going to be staying on StreamYard. And, well, yeah, I do need to break it up because it's an audience thing.
Here. But I'll just be sitting here when you get back. If you want me here, I'll stick around. If you don't, I'll leave.
Oh, I definitely want you to stick around because there's things that didn't even talk about. We're all gamers and we all do miniatures and action figures and things like that. First hour complete. Hang around, like and subscribe. We're going to be coming back in about 10 or 15 minutes, however long it takes. Thanks, everybody. And ending the broadcast, keep it quantum.